What's going on, guys? It's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. I'm excited to upload this video because we try out a brand new casino and card room that I've never been to before, the Palm Beach Kennel Club. A lot of people on my Florida trip told me to check this place out, and I did. And spoiler alert, we were playing some 2-5, but then got invited to hop into a private 5-10 plus game. Straddles get big, and I don't want to say anymore. You're just gonna have to watch and find out. So hopefully enjoy this video. Smash that like button. It's always much appreciated for the YouTube algorithm. And if you're around the LA area, got the Hustler meetup game with myself and Mariano this week coming up on March 8th. So see you guys all around there and enjoy the video. Let's get into the hands. We start things off in the 2-5 game, which is a $500 max buy-in, and one of the first hands I look down at Queen 6 of hearts in the small blind. Action folds to the button, my buddy Wolfgang, and opens it up to $15. Knowing that he's supposed to open pretty wide in these spots, let's just mess around and 3-bet, and maybe we can play a big pot with a marginal hand. I 3-bet to $60, the big blind folds, and our buddy Wolfgang makes the call and defends. We're off to a flop of King Jack 4 Rainbow. Here with two Broadway cards out of position, I start off with a bet of $40. 440, he makes the call, so that doesn't seem great, but we're off to a turn which is the King of Hearts. Pretty good card for me to continue barreling in my opinion, and I decided to continue doing that with the bet of 80. Once again, he is a non-believer and makes the call. He certainly could have a king in the spot for trips, which would suck, and definitely can't bluff that off. Or he could have a hand like a pair of jacks or a non-believing pocket pair or something like that. Anyways, let's just see what happens. And when the river is a 10, well, holding a queen in my hand seems pretty significant, and I block hands like ace-queen that I could potentially represent. So pretty much the best card I could ask for to triple barrel holding a queen. I've come this far. Let's continue and rip it all in for $235 effective. He doesn't take too long before making the call, sadly, so I am forced to proudly show the queen high. Is it good? Nah. He only has King 9 of spades for trips, so nice hand, Wolfie. At least you're the one catching my punts this time, but I like how I played it nonetheless, considering that the only hands that would be able to call me would be a hand as strong as trips, because I think I get all the other hands to fold. So after that wonderful punt, I add on for $500 more, so I'm in the game for $1,000 total. In the following spot, I pick up pocket jacks. We're on the under the gun straddle for $10. There are 5 players who limp, and then onto Wolfgang. He's in the big blind on my right and wants some smoke. He raises to $75, and I guess we're trying to play back-to-back big hands against our buddy here, and I 3-bet to $200. Putting in a significant amount of my stack in the middle, action fold all the way back around to Wolf. He obviously covers us as I doubled him up, and certainly could believe that I'm full of it as I did 3-bet with Queen 6 suited. Anyways, he rips it all in, and I'm never folding here in this spot as I committed so much of my stack, and it's only 50 big blinds with the straddle on board. I make the call, and he has ace-king, so it's just a flip here. Gotta win these 50-50 runouts. The flop comes king high, bang for Wolfgang. And then runner straight, bang for us, suck out city. I love being just so bad at poker. The only way I can win is through runner, and I get the pot shipped my way. After this, I'm basically even on the session now, so just riding the roller coaster ride of this 2-5 session. We've been playing some pretty crazy hands so far to start this 2-5 session, and in this one, I have ace-king offsuit. We're on the gun straddle once again for $10, and action folds to the small blind who limps for $10. The big blind folds, and on to me. We're in position, and I bump things up to $50 with a premium. This player makes the call for 50 total with about 175 behind, so not much left to play for. We're off to a flop of 10-9-7 all spades. The small blind player decides to lead for $75, and looking at my hand, I've got the ace of spades and 2 overcards. Well, happy to just get it in for his remaining $100 behind, so I rip it all in, and he makes the call as expected. So for the third hand in a row, we are playing all in pots. Off to a run out, which unfortunately does not improve. I show my ace high, not expecting it to be good, and he has king 10 with the king of spades. So that's good enough to win it. Nice hand, sir. And after this hand, I get called and invited into the 5-10 private game that's running. So I end the 2-5 in for 1,000, out for around $900. And we start off the 5-10, which is a no max buy-in. So I'm in for $10,000. And let's try to run it up in a much bigger game. One of the first hands of this bigger 5-10 game, the buy-ins are uncapped and everyone's playing fairly deep. I pick up King 10 offsuit in the small blind. There is the low jack and cutoff who decide to limp. Cutoff in the spot is our buddy Wolfgang. I make the call and the big blind checks his option. We're off to a flop in a limpy poo pot of King 10-7, 2 spades. Top 2 pair is gonna be pretty good. Action checks around to Wolfgang, and he bets out $35. Oh, you're so silly. $35 is certainly not enough, so I put in a check raise with top 2 pair and bump it up to 145. Action folds around to him, and he thinks, and he makes the call. Let's play another big pot against our buddy, but this time in a much bigger game. We're off to a turn which comes the 6 of spades. Pretty much one of the worst cards ever to see. 8-9 gets there for the straight, spades get there, and considering that I'm out of position, I decided to check this one as I obviously hate this card. Anyways, he thinks about it and ends up checking it back, so at least I'm feeling a little bit better about my hand. We're off to a river, which comes a 5. So this card doesn't really change a whole lot here on this board, and out of position, I decided to check again. I'm not sure what I get value from after betting and after checking. It seems kind of weird. So anyways, I check it over to him and he thinks and decides to go for a bet of $230. I am never folding here, so I snap it, make the call, and he has Queen Jack with the Queen of Spades. Looked like he had a lot of outs on the turn, open-ended and flush draw, but happy that all of that bricked out, and I'll take down the first pot of this 5-10 game. In the next spot, I look down at some pretty beautiful cards. 2 aces. We're in the hijack, and Wolfgang just really wants more pain. He raises it up to $35, and obviously for $35, I'm bumping up the price just a little bit more. The price of poker is now $115. With this 3-bet, I get the button, small blind, and Wolfgang calls, so there's just a lot of action going on. So we're going multi-way to a flop with aces here, and when the flop comes Queen 8-6, 2 diamonds, action checks to me, and this is definitely a time to start betting, and I decided to size down a little bit multi-way here to $140. In hindsight, I think maybe betting a little bit larger would have worked, but regardless, 140 to go, we get one player to make the call on the button. So heads up now out of position to a turn, which is the deuce of diamonds. Not the worst card in the world, I guess. It's not great the flush gets there, but I do have the ace of diamonds to fall back on. Anyways, I start off with another bet of $525, but he folds. So no more value here. Thought that this sizing would have gotten us paid against the queen, but maybe bet a little bit too big. Anyways, 2 hands in. It's a good start to the 5-10 session. Looking down at another premium, I have ace king of diamonds in +1, and this hand gets fun. I raise it up to $40 and Action City on this table. 4 players around make the calls. So we're going 5 ways to a flop of 10-9-7, 2 clubs and a heart. Brick City board for us. I decided to check, and action checks all the way around. So we get to see a free turn, which is the King of Hearts. Action checks to me again, and here decision to either bet or check. Considering I only have 1 pair on a very connected board, a lot of straights out there that are available, a lot of 2-pair combos, I'm happy to check with just 1 pair. Action checks all the way around to the button, who decides to bet out $225. Betting pot in this situation is pretty scary and seems pretty strong, but no need to fear here, because Wolfgang decides to be fearless and check raises to $700. It folds to me, and I'm happy to just snap fold this as played. Facing a pot size bet, then a check raise immediately after that. Seems pretty strong, as I think our buddy's going to have a strong hand here. And when action folds all the way back around to the button player, he decides on a call. So let's just sweat out what happens. When the river comes another king. Oh man, not loving my fold right now, but I'm still confident that I made the right one. There are some straights that still beat us. Now some sets or 2-pair combos improve to full houses. Anyways, Wolfgang decides to rip it all in. The button folds, and to my surprise, I made the wrong fold. Wolfgang shows us ace-8 of hearts for a bluff. Pretty sick. I guess my reads are way off. The button later also said when he saw the bluff that ace-high was good the whole way. So pretty sick one. Could have won another big one against our buddy Wolfgang, but gotta give credit to him for the nice bluff. Okay, the poker gods are looking down on me tonight in this game because I've looked down at pocket aces once again. We're on the button, and there's a $25 straddle on board. Action folds to me, and I raise it up to $80. I get the straddler to make the call, and we're going heads up to a flop. The flop comes Jack 4-5, 2 clubs. He checks it over to me, and obviously with aces, we're probably going to be betting every single street here. I bet out $105, and for 105, he makes the call, so hoping to build a big pot with aces. The turn comes a 4. Pretty beautiful card, as now we have the best 2-pair combo, and it eliminates opportunities for sets. So when he checks to me again, I'm going to size up this time, trying to target some flush draws or a pair of jacks that would easily call. I bet out 300. And once again, for $300, he makes the call with about 1,700 in his stack. On a brick river, I would love to overbet jam, as it seems like it'd be hard to get away from a jack in this situation. And when the river comes an ace, this was just a little too good of a card in my opinion. Definitely kills some action against Jack X holdings and seems a little bit like overkill, as we obviously have top boat. Anyways, he checks to me for a third time, and I want to get paid, so I size small to $225, sizing really down to try to get value against a sticky jack. And ultimately he flicks in a call, and obviously top boat is going to win this one. Unfortunate that the ace came, to be honest, but still, I guess I can't complain too much when I win another pot with aces and chips get pushed my way. So with momentum on my side and just learning that in this game there is an unlimited amount that you can straddle to, I test it out. I'm on the button and straddle to $100, and you know what's cool? Action folds around to the low jack player, and he decides to blind make the call for 100. Then next to act, our buddy Wolfgang puts in a raise to $475 with about 2,500 total in his stack. Now on to me, and I peel ace queen offsuit. Oh boy, already knowing that this is going to be a big pot against our buddy. I'm definitely going to be committing stacks here, considering $2,500 in this specific hand is only 25 big blinds. Put myself in a high variance situation. I put in a 3-bet and raise to 1,500. The low jack player who blind called looks like he didn't have anything good to look down at, so he folds. And now onto our buddy Alex. He thinks about it for a long time and ultimately rips it all in. Well, no decision here, as it's only $1,000 more, and it's a 25 big blind stack with my straddle here. I make the call. He offers to run it twice. I think it might be the biggest pot he's ever played so far, and I'm happy to comply. He shows pocket jacks, and it's a clear flip as I have ace queen. The first run out comes, and he has top sets. Wow, drawing dead pretty much on the first run out. Happy that we ran it twice, and the second run out, flop comes ace queen high.
Check, king.
Oh no,
10,
oh no.
10.
Oh, and we end up taking it down on the second run out, so anticlimactic finish, no blood drawn here as we chop it up against our buddy, playing over a $5,000 pot and no blood drawn, so we chop up the $100 blind call and we profit about $50 each. An orbit or two goes by and I'm on the button again and decided to straddle to $50. And you know what's fun? The ungun player decides to double straddle to 100. So playing 50-100 here in this hand, and I look down at 5-6 offsuit. Action starts with the +1 player who limps for $100. Action folds to me. I'm on the button with position, and it's $50 more to call with a marginal hand. I make the call as well. Small blind calls 100, and then the big blind decides to jam. And it's not a big one though. It is a $165 jam in his stack. So when the straddler calls for 65 more, +1 calls for 65 more, I have to call too with 5-6 offsuit. It's a pretty hand for blackjack, but not pretty for poker. I'm suckered in, and the small blind is in here as well. So What's fun is that the big blind has the opportunity to quintuple up his stack. Pretty rare situation to be in poker to have that happen, but let's see how this one goes. We're going to a flop which comes 10-7-3 rainbow with 1 diamond. Action checks to me, and all I've got is 6 high and a gut shot straight draw. Happy to not bet and check. Let's see a turn which comes a Bink 4. Let's go. It's the 4 diamonds, so we have the nut straight, but there is a flush draw out there. And even better, when we Bink the nuts, the small blind leads for $350 and action folds to me. All right, we're playing a big pot, playing a big hand, and like I said, this is what poker dreams are made of. Let's play another big one and raise it up with the nuts. Let's try to get more money in the middle, and I put in a raise to 1,400. For a little bit more than 1,000 more to call, we are playing pretty deep with a couple thousand behind. He makes the call, so this is gonna get big. Big pot brewing. Let's see a clean river, please, dealer. The river is the king of diamonds, so not very clean, unfortunately. He checks with about $2,000 in his stack. Obviously, if it was a brick river, I would have loved to rip it all in, but now I'm just trying to figure out a sizing to bets. And I decided to go small here, as I'm not sure how strong his hand may be, and I don't want to value own myself and go all in and run into a flush, so I decided to bet tiny again with a strong hand to $450. Upon this bet, he immediately mutters to himself, saying he has to call. So I'm feeling pretty good about it, knowing that he doesn't have a flush and knowing that we're going to get paid. I think eventually he does make the call. Phew, we win this one. I show my hand, he mucks, and a $4,500 plus pot gets shipped my way. And this is just smooth sailing so far in the bigger game, and with some crazy straddles on board. It's not the typical 5-10 as advertised. For one of the last hands of the night, this is one you want to strap in for. This is the one you came to see. I look down at pocket queens in the small blind, and action starts when Wolfgang opens it up to $35. We get the cutoff and button to make the call, and now onto me here, playing out of position with a premium, definitely going to size up for a raise, and we bump it up to 200. And for $200, we don't get many folds. The big blind, cutoff, and button make the call. Only Alex Wolfgang is a smart one to be out of here. So in a 3-bet pot, it's rare to find 4 ways to the flop, but here we are. The flop comes Jack 7-3, 2 clubs. All things considered, it's a pretty darn safe flop. I bet small to a tune of $250 to start. The big blind immediately next to act makes the call for $250. Then onto the cutoff player, who decides to jam his stack of $800 total. And then the button has other plans in mind. He rejams his stack, and it's not a small rejam. It is about 5,000 total. Okay. Let's think about this one for a little bit. Somehow we go 4 ways to a flop, and all 4 players are interested in this pot. And look, facing a 5K jam is ridiculous and huge. I only lose to hands like sets, pretty much only losing to 7s or 3s. And why would those hands jam so large? I'm pretty much taking the cutoff out of the equation here, as the main significant spot would be against this button player. So let's try to think about what he's doing here in this spot. I don't expect those hands as strong as 7s and 3s to isolate so large, especially being on the button and in position. So what the hell could he be holding here? I've seen this player check raise to $2,000 with the nut flush draw before, and I recheck my cards here, and not holding the queen of clubs is great, as I unblock those flush draws that he could have. So if I make the call here, we'll be all in multi-way with just 1 pair. And with just 1 pair, it seems like we're gonna have to fade a whole lot. So definitely need to call tighter in these multi-way all-in spots. But I think about it for a long time, and ultimately, I just can't play scared. Although it's definitely a big pot and a really big situation and scenario, there's no way that I'm able to fold pocket queens in this spot, especially on a dry flop as this. So it's going to be a big pot. Let's gamble. Let's try to fade some stuff. Not really sure what I have to fade, but definitely trying to fade clubs, that's for sure. I commit my stack, and the big blind ends up folding. Immediately when I make the call, the button offers to run it twice, which certainly makes me feel a lot better with a big side pot to play. I'm always happy to comply like always, and all three of us are now going to 2 runouts, hoping to just fade some clubs, I guess.
No, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
Both the turns and rivers come, and the 7 and 3 look relatively clean, as it doesn't look like this player has a set. But when the button announces a boat, he has a boat on the bottom with 5-7 of clubs. The cutoff mucks his hands, and I show my pocket queens here, and with the run out, unfortunately, we're going to chop this one up. So instead of making over $6,500 in this pot, if the second river was clean, we end up only making a couple hundred. So by far, this was the biggest hand of the night. And sadly, it's a chopped pot. Was in a pretty big spot to make a lot of money. Pretty sick that this button player had a pair and flush draw, so had a ton of equity. Like I said, with just one pair going all in 3 ways, we're gonna have to fade a whole lot, and unfortunately, couldn't fade it on both runouts. Wrapping up tonight's session, pretty late night, got out of there. It's 2 a.m. and it's funny that this was the very first profitable session I've had in my entire trip of Florida, and it was the last, fucking hiccups. And it was the last night of our stay here. So tomorrow we'll be flying out to Austin, Texas for the Brad, Andrew, and Doug Polk meetup games. And the whole week at the lodge is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what the action is going to be like. Should be a lot of really fun content for you guys as well. So I'm looking forward to those videos, looking forward to the experience, and looking forward to bringing you guys along for the ride. So thank you so much for watching this video. Oh yeah, final numbers. I was in the game for 10,900, out of the game for 16,600 flat. Pretty good way to end off the Florida trip, although it didn't start amazingly, but finally happy to book one profitable session. Thanks so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. We'll be in Austin, Texas in the next video. Peace.